Hi everyone and welcome back to the Chemist Couple podcast with Lee and Jess. Now this week we are discussing what exercises should you be doing, and we have covered exercise before in terms of a more of a scientific approach, haven't we?
Yeah.
And before you do carry on with this video, if you do see the mouth vapour going off, it's because this room is actually cold and we haven't got the heating in it at this point.
It's very cold right
It's
now.
very cold. But yeah, we've decided not to take a scientific approach on this one because no matter how many ways you can look at exercise, the biggest thing is just actually doing some form of exercise.
Yeah.
So the first thing I wanted to go onto was, what did you used to do for exercise?
What did I used to do? So I was a dancer from the age of 3, so my mum and dad put me into dance. So I've always done some kind of activity. I actually remember when I was about 8 or 9, I had a little diary that I kept where I'd put in Monday what I was doing, Tuesday what I was doing, and I was always doing something. So I was doing jiu-jitsu on one day, gymnastics another day, horse riding another day. I'd play netball for the school, and then obviously I did dance on a Saturday. So I've always been active, and I think as a child, similar probably to yourself, we were always out playing with friends, like going on bike rides, going to the park, stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I used to do. And then because I was a dancer from such a young age, I sort of carried that on then. When I joined university, I joined the dance team. And then even after university, I actually joined a dance sort of class, which was doing samba, which I'd never done, which I still do every now and again, don't I? And then just slowly, I've sort of got into more going to the gym, even though I did go to the gym and do mainly classes.
Well, we did touch upon that last week in the calorie one in terms of you used to do a lot of high intensity training once you left school. So it's this idea of once you're in physical education, you're very active in general, and then you're trying to migrate from school to university and then adult life. Yeah. It is hard, but you used to do HIIT training.
I did, yeah. So that was my main form of training in the gym, was mainly just gym classes where it was very high intensity, sometimes with weights or sometimes just with body weight. Basically come out drenched in sweat and try and burn as many calories as you can within like 45 minutes.
And do you think HIIT training worked for you? No,
I think I enjoyed it, so it kept me in the gym because I did actually like doing it. It didn't allow me to be consistent. I think that was the issue with it, is that it's very strenuous exercise. It's very hard to maintain it for over a long period of time.
Yeah, keep the motivation and then recover the next day. It's quite hard, isn't it?
So I think it wasn't actually the HIIT training that wasn't beneficial to me. It was the fact that I wasn't able to keep up the intensity over the long term with it. Yeah, but what about yourself?
I mean, I used to do footy in school.
Yeah.
I mean, physical activity in school was easy. You had an allocated slot of an hour to 2 hours each day. It's then migrating. Believe it or not, I used to do basketball.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Obviously, it wasn't.
It's only small for anyone who isn't actually watching this on a video.
I'm about 6'4", if anyone's watching. But yeah, I used to do footy, basketball, cricket sometimes, and then athletics. And then around the age of 16, 17, started going towards the gym. Yeah. And then there was no one in my family who liked the gym. I don't know why I went into it.
Same with mine, to be honest.
I just liked the idea of watching YouTube, learning how to do bench pressing and all these things. And then I think it's this idea of being able to compete with yourself that sort of led me into it. Yeah. And I've stuck at it now for 12, 13 years going to the gym, and it's something that is working for me. The way I used to train was, used to be called something called a bro split, where you do chest day, arm day, leg day, whatever it may be. But I would go more for muscular, I'd go for strength. I would ego lift in the early days, and then now as I'm getting on, I'm sort of going towards more form and time under tension and looking after my health that way. But yeah, I think mine's a bit different to yours because I'm more consistent with how I've trained, whereas you've trained completely different.
Yeah, I would say when I talk about consistency with training, I definitely have always trained in some capacity. So I didn't, but it would be sort of like I'd maybe have a couple of weeks to maybe a month was like the maximum time I'd have not going to the gym at all, which now to me that would never happen because I'm so consistent with going. So I've always done it, like I say, since about the age of 16, 17, I joined it was like an independent gym class, and I was doing like one class a week. And then I joined the gym. So like ever since then, I have always been somewhat consistent with it. It just isn't to the same intensity as what it is now.
I didn't mean it in terms of you not being consistent. I mean my training format's always been similar, whereas yours have changed from HIIT training, well, dance to HIIT, now to more mobility and other things. And that's what I was going to go on to now, is what's working for you at the moment?
Yeah, so anyone who's listened to the podcast since the beginning will know that I suffer with sciatica, which I think it was actually due to poor lifting technique when I was younger, ironically. So every now and again it flares up, which I had a bad flare, the worst one I've ever had actually in April. I think it was a lot to do with stress at the time, because I know that can affect actually sciatica, which is funny. But ever since then I was doing weightlifting for about 6 months prior to that. I actually built up quite a good base of muscle, which I think has helped me since. But then ever since that, I then sort of got more into yoga. So whenever you do suffer with any back issues, you'll know that if you've been to a physio, a lot of the exercises that they do tell you to do are mainly yoga-based exercises. So obviously I wanted to be consistent with something, and so I just fell into yoga, started doing that almost every single day actually, because unlike HIIT training or unlike strength training, it's very low intensity, but but it is good because you are using your body weight, you're maintaining flexibility, but it means that you actually can do it every day. You don't get burnout like you do with other exercises, and that's why I think yoga, and then I've subsequently gone on to do Pilates, that's been a really good workout split for me, because I can be consistent every single day. Every now and again, like over the recent weeks I've been adding in a bit more strength training, I will get sore because I'm just getting back into it, so I'll have like maybe 1 or 2 days off over the last couple of weeks, but prior to that I wasn't really ever like missing a day, was I?
No. I think burnout comes from doing stuff that you don't tend to like doing.
Yeah.
I know you can put your body under a lot of strain and stress.
Yeah, I don't know though, because I do actually really enjoy strength training. So and this is like one of the biggest things that I want to discuss in the podcast, is that whenever I am working out, I just do whatever I want to do at that moment in time. Whatever I feel like will make me the most happy, I will do. Whether it's going for a walk, whether it's going on a run, whether it's going swimming, whether it's doing yoga, doing Pilates, it's whatever I feel like on the day I want to do, I will do. And I actually tend to probably stick to one exercise for a long period of time. So like I say, I've been doing yoga and Pilates since April and I haven't got bored of it yet. I really enjoy doing it, so I'm just going to continue to do that. Once I sort of get to the point where I'm thinking, I'm finding it a bit boring now, I'll switch it up. And that's like sort of what I've done for, a lot of my training life.
But that's what I wanted to bring up in terms of the title of this video is what training should you be doing for health, longevity, etc. And a lot of people coming up to the new year will be looking at PTs, they'll be looking at personalised training programs and plans, but the bottom line is doing something that you're going to enjoy and stick to for a long period of time. A 12-week cycle strict is not going to be more beneficial than a 12-year cycle where you're on and off and doing certain things. And that's what's changed in my training, where definitely in university I would have certain days and certain exercises, weights, rep ranges, and a lot of it can be overwhelmed to people who are coming into this. Like the idea of how many reps do we need to do, how many sets do we need to do. And then there's more complexity, there's tempo with lifts, and it's just the bottom line for me is doing something that you enjoy, something that you're going to turn up. So most of my workouts at the moment, I just come in here, I know what I've done the day before. So if I've done the lower body, my lower body the day before, the next day I'll do something in the upper side, and I will just do something that I feel. I will always train with intensity. I'll always make sure the form's good, that I'm putting the muscle under enough stress and strain, and also prevention of injury. And they're the biggest things, doing something that you enjoy. And I think that's what's worked for both of us, and we keep at it, whereas a lot of people that we know and close friends and family have maybe not stuck to it as well as we have. It's because I think they create, again, like we keep bringing this up, there's this negative relationship with healthy lifestyle, and that includes diet as well as exercise. But I wanted to touch upon the biggest craze at the moment in fitness being Hyrox. And a lot of people, it's treated as a marathon at the moment. I want to do one in my lifetime. And people will be going from the equivalent of sitting on a couch to doing a Hyrox in, 4 months maybe. And it's good. If you're not going to do any exercise again, doing that as a short course really is going to be beneficial. But in the long run, it's going to create this negative balance where you're doing it for like a different gain, if you get what I mean.
I do agree. I think again, it's like sort of the thing that I was saying about when I was HIIT training. It's so high intensity and it's so strenuous, it's so taxing on your body that it's one of those things that, of course, in the short term, like if you want to do a Hyrox, it's great, but just bear in mind that probably, you know, you're not going to be able to continue. I mean, you could do, but it would be very difficult to do and like have it and maintain that positive relationship with exercise, because it, you know, we did train for Hyrox for a little bit, didn't we? Not really that intensely, but we were just seeing if we would enjoy it. I mean, running is something that I actually did start to enjoy it in the summer, but it's one of those things that I enjoy for a little bit, and then, you know, my knees and things like start to get a bit achy, and I'm like,
it's funny because definitely in the UK, I don't know whether it's in other countries, but in the schooling system, if you're bad at something, you've just got to do better at it. So for example, if you're not good at biology within GCSE, you've just got to go and learn it. Yeah. Whereas in real life, that doesn't apply. So if you don't like running because you're not good at it or it hurts you, you don't have to do it. You can do something else. You can combat it with cycling or swimming, something that's still going to get your heart going, all the benefits of muscle building, etc. Yeah. And I think that's where we do come to a challenge in society in terms of we do things that we think we need to do because it's going to benefit us, when in reality there's other alternatives that are going to create a better relationship going forward.
Yeah, of course. I think whenever I'm going into the gym to do something, I try and tell myself that I am privileged to actually be able to even do this, because there's a lot of people who don't have the ability to actually get up and train, and you know, so that's what I sort of tell, like that's a mindset that I go into it with. And I think if you start to tell yourself that, you know, you start to actually enjoy it, because it's sort of that positive mindset, isn't it? And positive affirmations will like bring positivity in. So that's what I try and do, and so far it's worked for me. Obviously, it's nice to see the gains that you get, you know, and like the progress that you do make, especially with things like yoga. You know, there's like beginner and intermediate and advanced. Same with weightlifting.
Well, we started at the same time doing it.
Yeah.
And then I've done a couple of sessions. I find it's the hardest thing for me, yoga and Pilates, because my flexibility is poor. It's improved, but we started at the same time, and then you've kept to it every single day, whereas I've done it 2-3 times a week at best. Yeah. And you are completely in another league stratosphere compared to where I am.
I would say I probably had a better baseline because of my dance.
No, but still, even though your baseline was good, but you've just kept on going up through consistency, and it is them little I think 1% changes every day.
Of course. Everyone, you hear it all of the time, you know, consistency is key, and it genuinely is. When people used to say that to me, I used to think, oh, like, all right, you know, I've heard that a million times, but until you actually are consistent with something and you do realise that consistency is the key to everything. You were saying before, weren't you, about the 12-week programme, and then you were saying in terms of, well, what about a 12-week programme versus a 25-year loose programme? What one's going to be better?
Well, yeah, I mean, one example of that is dry January. Yeah. So if you were always going to drink every single day, doing dry January is going to benefit your health in some way, because at least you've had some abstinence from it. But if you think that's going to be the answer to all your problems, it's not. Whereas generalised reduced consumption over a prolonged period of time is going to be better for your health. And that's the same for exercise. Yeah. A 12-week intensive stint is not going to be more beneficial than 20-25 years of sporadic training. Mm-hmm. And I want to quickly touch upon why you do exercise. I don't want to go too much into the science, but why do you exercise?
So I exercise, like I say, because I feel privileged to move my body. I think it's something that I want to exercise, that I have the right to do that, and I have the ability to do it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that after I've done it, you'll never regret a workout. Like, you just don't. You come out, you feel great. But then thirdly is that a lot of the exercises that I do now and a lot of training is basically geared towards being more functional into later life. So with Pilates, a lot of it is core strength, which is so important for balance. And just like things like we were discussing before, weren't we, that just walking up the stairs or sitting up from the couch, you know, it's like a squat movement, or walking up the stairs is a lunge movement. So I will incorporate a lot of those movements into my training sessions, just purely so that I can be more functional. So that's the ultimate thing for me is functionality, really. What about you?
I mean, pride's one of them. Yeah. I just like holding myself accountable, and I wouldn't advise anyone to do something that I'm not doing. Yeah. So that's the thing. Yeah, there's some days, like anyone, where you don't train to the best of your ability, you don't lift the same weights, do the same amount of time in the gym, but it's better than doing nothing. Yeah. And that is, from what all the evidence states as well, doing something is better than nothing, and that applies to a lot of things within life. Yeah. So long as it's beneficial, I mean.
Yeah. So what is the actual evidence for? What do we get told that we should be doing?
Okay, so the actual guidelines in the UK from the Chief Medical Officer is that we should do 150 minutes, and this was related to cardiovascular activities such as walking, running, sprinting, etc. We should do 150 minutes of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity, and that's accumulated throughout the week. So that could mean, from what I've read, is you can do 150 minutes on the one day, or you could do it in 3 days, etc. And then they also want you to incorporate 2 training days throughout the week. Now, to anyone reading that who's never been in the gym, even me reading it, it's very vague. And from the evidence that they got it from, again, it all stems from a baseline of no movement. You do see a lot of improvements, even if you just move for 5% more, 10% more. So for anyone who is looking at it, moderate intensity is something where you can hold a conversation, but it's hard to do so. Vigorous is you shouldn't be able to hold a conversation. My opinion is, when you're a kid as well, or in university, and you see people walking for an activity and classing it as exercise, we're getting to that point now. We have a desk job. Yeah, we do. That's one of the things that we're going to try and improve, isn't it, in the new year, is just baseline activity, because at the moment, like, it is very poor. We go to the gym every day for at least half an hour, but the actual baseline, just walking, isn't the best. If you think about it, we're doing 7.5, 8 hours minimum at a desk, then you're in bed. So you're sedentary for 65, 70% of the day, which is probably a bigger killer than most other clinical conditions out there. But for anyone who is willing to start in January, I would just do something you go and enjoy. So golf, you know, you walk for, my dad does golf, which is like, you know, I'm made up that he does do that, because he gets like 20,000 steps in when he's done it. And I don't think he doesn't feel like it's exercise. So, no, because you're enjoying it. People think to have a benefit from exercise, you've got to really hate it. That was definitely my mindset. Like, you had to go in and you had to be dead by the time you come out. And same with diet as well. People feel as though you've got to really remove flavour and other passion in cooking, I don't know, to actually benefit from it. And you don't, you can do a lot of things. So yeah, if it's taking up golf, if it's joining a five-a-side team, even if it's just walking a dog, doing something like that is a lot better. If you're going to do that for 20 days of January and do that for the 20 days of the next month, that is much better than doing something, going to buy all the gear. I mean, when I used to go to the gym in January, there'd be so many people with a lot better gear than I've got. And I'd think, oh God, I've got no chance here. And then they'd be gone after a week. So I know. Yeah, I would say the same. I'd say just start by going slow. Doing, you know, say if you were doing maybe 1,000 steps a day, then increase that to 3,000 or even 2,000, and try and be consistent with it. Because like you say, the most important thing is consistency. You know, nowadays it's so good that we've got YouTube, and so you've got so many at-home workouts that you can be doing. Because I was going to say before that, when we say strength training, people may think that it has to include like weight, and actually it doesn't. You know, you can get a really effective workout in by just using your body weight. You know, so there's a lot on YouTube that you can use. Try some of them. You know, they have Zumba classes. They're fun. You know, have a go at doing that. It's just all about finding something that you really enjoy and just sticking to it. And that's going to, like you say, give you more benefit over, you know, trying to follow a 12-week program that's really intense. Because it's going to lead to injury as well if you've got a baseline of nothing and you're going all out. And also this idea that you can't build muscle and strength and endurance through bodyweight exercises is a load of lies, basically. If you look at it, calisthenics, do pull-ups, do press-ups, do all these things, bodyweight squats. We are going to do a plank challenge, aren't we, for one of our reels, probably. Yeah, so if anyone's watching, we're doing challenges that are best suited to you, so you can absolutely annihilate me in every way. I don't know, actually. But I don't know, I think you will beat me again. But yeah, so you just said why you exercise. I do it for the pride as well as I enjoy doing it. I like challenging myself. The sciencey bits, quick touch upon them. Falls, like you've said, mobility. Falls account for 37 million medical sort of, I don't know, admissions each year across the world. Over 680,000 deaths. We'll put the stats below. So, I mean, that's a big thing. If you can improve your mobility and strength, that's going to mitigate that. As well, flexibility. So you've got them things. You've got about bone mineral density, especially in postmenopausal women, because you haven't got the estrogen and all the other hormones circulating throughout your body. In men, strength training increases your bone mineral density, like building muscle mass. It does, and muscle mass is being correlated at the moment with longevity. Again, we've not looked into it fully in terms of having a heavier and higher BMI even if it's predominantly muscle mass, is that more beneficial because it is still weight at the end of the day? These are things we will look into in separate episodes, but there are a lot of scientific benefits to exercise, and I think there's a lot more than what is on the paper as well. You shouldn't use exercise as a means to combat your diet. You should use exercise to, I think it's disproportionate to what you get from exercise. So you can manage your diet in terms of energy content, etc. But exercise, you might burn 200 calories, if that's accurate on a tracker. But the benefits you're going to get psychologically,
of course, that's
mentally, all these things are immeasurable. And it's just going to keep going up. It's not proportional. It's exponential.
I would also say as well, like, to have a reason for why you want to do it. So initially my reason was aesthetics, and I think yours was possibly
I think
the
a lot
same.
of people's are aesthetics, if I'm being honest.
And that's fine, you know, like, because you've got a goal, and, you know, there's a reason to want to get up and do it. But, you know, I've now got the deeper reason of, well, actually, I want to get into my old age more functional. And so that keeps me going, that I know that I have this goal, which is, it's forever. Like, it just goes on until, you know, I just can't exercise anymore. So it's about finding a reason to want to do it, because, you know, at the end of the day, keeping up with something that you have to do every day, or you need to do, is hard. And especially when you're working 9 to 5, and, you know, especially living in the UK, it's freezing at the moment.
It's freezing in this room because I'm plumbing on.
You'd rather just sort of go back home, put your pajamas on and sit and watch the television, but, you know, find a reason why, and it just makes it that little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think a big reason is having the ability to do it in the first place. There's people out there who've got ill health, no limbs, certain things, and then you've got this body which is worth millions of pounds if you were
billions, isn't it?
Well, if you were to recreate it, you've got to treat it with respect. You treat a house which is worth a fraction with a lot more respect, and they're things you need to bear in mind. But the next thing I was going to say is, what are you going to do going forward with your training? Is there anything you're going to change? Because, like you just said then, it's looking about looking into the future. And the first thing I think of as an analogy is when you're in, secondary school. I know university things are a bit controversial, should you go, etc. But the whole idea is, when you're 16, seeing what you're doing now is going to impact you in the next 3-4 decades. It's the same thing here. What you're doing now is going to impact you going into your 60s, 70s. So what are you going to do different?
What am I going to... So I'm just going to remain consistent. So Pilates is something that I've really fallen in love with. It's probably going to be part of my workout regime for, you know, at least the foreseeable future. So I'm just going to keep it with that. You know, I have now started, like I said, to incorporate a little bit more strength training. My back has been okay for a few months. So I've just started to do that. So at the moment, my workout split looks a bit like, on a Monday, I train with friends. So I train with my cousin and also my sister-in-law, and we do a little bit of like a circuit, and I enjoy that. Like, it's, you know, it's a bit more conditioning. We do use weights, but it's only very low. But then I'll do maybe 2 or 3 Pilates sessions a week. Every now and again, when I can afford it, I'll do reformer Pilates. I just enjoy doing that. It's nice to get out the house and doing it. But I think for me, the goal that I'm sort of going to set myself in January is definitely to increase my basal activity. So just going for like a walk, trying to get at least 10,000 steps in a day. But then also including a bit more cardio. At the moment, I don't really do much of it. Like I say, I did do running in the summer, but it's just something that I like doing it in the summer, but like, again, people living in the UK will know it's freezing at the moment. It's not the best environment to go for a run in when it's, you know, there's ice on the floor and you can fall and things. So cycling as well, we do have the Peloton bike. I did do that for quite a while, but I haven't done that. So definitely increasing my cardio, and then also increasing my basal activity. But what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think mobility, flexibility, it's one big thing. It's one thing I say to everyone who's younger than me, especially in the early 20s. If I'd done that back then, I just think it'd be so much better going forward. You need to be flexible in terms of joint muscle groups, because it's just going to reduce injury going forward. So that is one of them. The other one is improve my posture. I mean, I am sitting on a bench with no back to it, and I'm trying to do it every so often. But yeah, posture, mobility, stuff that is going to be worthwhile in the future. Me being able to overhead press 80, 100 kilos, whatever, is not really beneficial. I'm not going to lift that when I'm 60, am I? I don't really do it now. What am I going to lift? But I do want to improve my strength as well. I feel as though I've just been taken over recently with the housework we've got on, other courses, etc. That, again, it's not an excuse.
Yeah.
It's me that's stopping myself coming in here to the intensity I need to do it. So that's what I need to do. I do a spin once a week. And for those who think cardio is just running, I know you don't, but people think cardio is just running, rowing, cycling. It's not. It's just about elevating your heart rate. Yeah. Your heart doesn't dictate and sort of discriminate against, oh, that's weightlifting. If you weightlift without the excessive pauses and rest times, then that's going to elevate your heart rate, improve your cardiovascular system, again, increase your VO2 max in certain ways. They're all the beneficial aspects. So for me, improve mobility, improve my strength, do a bit more cardio. But they're the things I'm going to look into. And I think we should summarise what people should be doing at home and how is it going to make it easy for them to sort of carry it on. Yeah. And I think in terms of what exercise should you be doing, do whatever it is that you enjoy and that you're going to stick to more often than not. Yeah. Try and remove barriers to stopping you from exercising. So we discussed this idea of if you're in a group of people that like exercising, it's one less barrier and battle that you need to face. If you say to someone, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, oh, why are you doing that? I don't go to the gym. Get with a group of people that do. I'm a lone trainer. Very rarely do I train with my brother. When he does it, he's okay. He just starts crying if he's ever listening to this. But I like to train on my own anyway. But training with other people gives you that motivation, and it's good sometimes you can push you beyond your boundaries in terms of helping you with spotting. And I think it's just this idea that you really need to be doing it. It's not something that we need to tiptoe around. You need to exercise. Your body does need movement, and you need to be doing this for as long as possible. If you ever look at these cultures that you look at Japan, you look at Sardinia, etc., they actively move up mountains, hills, and they're healthy until God knows what. Yeah. So that's what I would advise.
And I would say the same thing, that, you know, exercise is such an important part of both your physical but also your mental health. So, you know, definitely trying to incorporate it is going to be a positive thing. Like we've discussed, we know that an increase in muscle mass actually increases your life expectancy. So, you know, incorporating some kind of strength training into your day or into your week is going to be beneficial, especially, you know, postmenopausal women. You know, it's going to increase your bone mineral density, so it's going to, you know, decrease your risk of having like a really serious fall and, you know, breaking bones, and have a reason why. You know, I think the reason to be functional into old age and be able to, you know, do the thing, you know, be a parent who can run around the playground with the kids, or, you know, jump on a trampoline with them, or, you know, and then the same as being a grandparent. You know, my nan, to be honest, she's got really bad arthritis, but she, up until the age of about 70, was like jumping on the trampoline with us, and it was just purely because she just used to get up and be out every day. You know, she wasn't in the gym or anything, but she was functionally training, even though she didn't know it. You know, she was always active. And so, it doesn't have to be getting into a gym. It could be going out for a walk, or it could be even things like cleaning the house. You're still doing it. You can do that
when you go back.
Well, you're doing exercise by doing it. And so, but just being active for at least 30 minutes of your day is always going to be beneficial.
It is. And I didn't say this at the beginning, but again, these are all of our opinions and should not be used in substitute to seeing a healthcare professional. One thing you didn't say at the beginning is thanks for anyone who likes, comments and subscribes. And if you haven't, please do so, because I mean, at the moment, we're not making any money from this. We're just doing it. Our plan is to hopefully do something from all these things. Yeah. But our next podcast is relating to test results, because mine come through at the very last day, which was on Thursday evening. Yeah. It was yours come through basically 10 days before. Yeah. But we're going to be transparent. We're going to give what mine are. Yours were better than mine. Yeah. On the whole. Yeah. But we're going to go about how we're going to combat it, how these results come about in the first place, and hopefully anyone at home who's got similar results and has access to it, they can maybe implement what we're doing. And probably the video may help you be able to interpret your results as well, because we'll go through what each of them means. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.